All my followers know that I'm here. Mom, are you there? Well, I'm going to deliver a talk today before we get into our meeting. So thank you for being here. And then we have a few other things that we'll do today before we head out. Is everybody comfortable? Good. Today's talk is about, actually, first a story. A couple weeks ago, Papu Sunim gave a talk. He talked about how our practice isn't adding things, but remembering. He used that terminology, remembering, and it stuck with me. And it made me think a little bit, which then made me think of this talk, which you're going to have to listen to. And that is a lesson in karma, right there. One thing leads to another. Even though most of you know getting rid of the ego is a part of Buddhism, it's not an easy thing to do. We still have ideas about who we are, what the world is. You know, what I think about the world is really saying something about me too. That's saying something about my ego. And this dictates most of how we go through life. Our ego, what we think of ourselves, what we think of the world. But as it says in the Heart Sutra, there is no attainment, for there is nothing to attain. When Bapu says remembering, he's reminding us of this idea that Buddha nature is inside you already. It's something that's already there. What's left when we get rid of all that stuff society teaches us? All that past karma that we have. What's left when you sit on the mat and let go of everything? Just focus on your breath. Go ahead and try it, let me know. Nothing? Something? This is the idea of beginner's mind, too. Have you guys heard that before? What do you know before all the stories of life and all that stuff catches up with you? Sometimes it's a little clearer, a little simpler. Beginner's mind, very simple, right? You just come to things with a fresh perspective, not all that stuff that's built up on you. Sometimes it feels like maybe that's a simpler path to follow, a little bit easier. Well, Bapu's talk had me thinking of this. It's a little like cleaning up your place, cleaning up your house or your apartment. When you clean, you don't add anything, do you? You're taking away. You remove dust, you remove cobwebs, you get the trash out, right? You don't need to get anything to clean your house. You just get rid of stuff. Too much stuff, too much clutter. Well, maybe, wisely, you go to the store and you buy some bleach because your place is really nasty, right? You really need to scrub it a little bit. But notice the prajna, wisely. You wisely go and buy a few things, a bucket to hold the water or something like that. But then you remove the dust. Get rid of that dirt. Well, let's be clear. You don't need 3 couches. You need 1 couch. How much sitting can you actually do? Maybe the couch is broken and you need to replace it or something like that. But you don't need 3. You don't need 5 couches. You need 1 couch. The point is you're not looking outside for things if you're cleaning inside. You don't always look externally for your solutions. You look internally. You already have the tools. Maybe you always did. Have you ever had such a messy area that it made you feel really uncomfortable? Probably in your own house. Sometimes you don't even need to remove stuff as much as you need to just reorganize it, right? Put things back in the place where they feel a little more comfortable. Everything's too scattered, it's a little too crazy. Sometimes it's not that the place is so dirty, it's just that the place doesn't feel right. Maybe if you've been doing things the same way over and over again, you've always had things in your house this way, you reorganize it, you do a little refresh, a little redesign or something like that. That's cleaning too, right? Remember remembering? Sometimes we need to just shake things up a little bit so that we remember. Also, so that we remember things are impermanent. They don't stay the same way. The Buddha said, all things are impermanent. Strive on with diligence. At the end of the day, hopefully you have a place that feels nice. Feels a little bit more like a place you can grow in, a place you want to have people over, connect with people. Even though you're never 100% certain that that place is always going to be there. Thinking of a house, fire, tornadoes, terrible things can happen to a house. Accidents, unforeseen. And if you didn't get it yet, the house is your mind. It's not you. The mind is not you, but it's a place where you exist. It's a place where you come and go. All the stuff in the world gets built up in there. And sometimes you have to go in and clean it a little bit. Sometimes you just have to reorganize it a little bit if you get stuck. Things have been the same way for so long. Sometimes they just need to be picked up and see if there's a little dust underneath it. You know, that's been sitting there for a long time. And maybe sometimes you think, do I really need that thing? Who's the one that goes through and like, does this bring me joy? Is this, right? You have to pick it up. Have you used it in the last year? These ideas that are in your mind, have you used them in the last year? Are these something that are really an essential part of you? We probably have a few outdated ideas in there. They might be from the 70s or something like that. Times have changed. It's time to paint the walls, get rid of the wallpaper maybe. Do that before it's time to put the wallpaper back up because it's cool again. But you definitely don't need more stuff. You definitely don't need more stuff in there. When this talk is done, make sure you don't keep it, okay? Recycle it. Reduce, reuse, recycle. You don't have space for it in there. The stuff doesn't make you happy. That's a trick. Everybody knows that, right? It's the Amazon drone delivery, get it in 1 hour trick. The new teaching, the new book, the new person or whatever, that's not the answer either. Gratitude, however, gratitude is an essential part of this escaping samsara stuff. That's the end game here. Being grateful for what we already have. Being grateful for that inner peace that I hope you at least get a second of every now and then. When you experience that kind of a teaching, something that gives you that little bit of inner peace, that helps you to spend a little bit more time in here, a little bit less time in here, and a little bit less time out there. And if that's convincing to you, and I've convinced you to be sincere in your practice, or I've convinced you to get an early start on spring cleaning, maybe, here's the real message of this talk. Well, actually, what's the best way to clean a house? I got more tips for you, okay? This is the top 10 list. What's the best way to clean it? The hardest part sometimes is just getting started. Has anybody had that? Like something is such a mess, it's hard to even get going on it, and it's like you keep thinking about it, and it keeps building up. Some of this might be coming from my life too. This might be personally relevant. If you're gonna clean the whole house, sometimes it's really dirty, there's things that are broken, you have to do one step and the other and the other. You don't have a lot of time. Well, it all adds up. It can be pretty tough to do, right? It can be tough to start. Should you plan to do it all at once? No. It's too much to take on. You go room by room, and maybe not all in one day. You know it's going to take a lot of time. It's going to take a lot of patience. Patience is the topic today. Patience. You have to know that it's a process. This isn't something that's simple. It's not something you do once and it's done. That's not how our Buddhist practice is. By the time you finish, sometimes it's time to clean again, right? There's always laundry, there's always dishes, And the bigger the house, the more stuff you have to clean, right? But you have so much to be grateful for. Think about that. Bigger the house, more stuff to clean, but more stuff to be grateful for. The more fulfilling and comfortable life is, well, the more we have to share. That could be tough. You know, the better we try and make ourselves, the more we want to help other people. And the more we want to help other people, the more we see how tough this world is, the more experience we have there. But that's our path. That's what they call the greater vehicle. It isn't like you work really hard and then you can take your religious retirement or something like that and the work is done, right? You just like sit back for the next 30 years and it's done. Money works that way, but the Buddhist path doesn't work that way. No, we work really hard. We try to help ourselves with the idea that helping ourselves is also going to help every single last sattva in the universe. Every last person. It's like if you're the top employee in the company, you get more work. That's the way it should be, right? Again, this isn't capitalism. Maybe it has a little bit in common, but it's not. We have a lot to be grateful for. Gratitude is essential to our daily practice. I hope everybody knows that. But gratitude isn't the focus of this talk. Patience is. Patience is the focus. Here's that story I was going to tell you. And you may have heard this before. It's a pretty common story. I tried to find out where it's from, and all I could find is it's from a guy named Tom on Facebook. So I'm not sure that's the original author. A young student once asked a Zen master, how long would it take to achieve mastery? And the master said, 10 years. The student, eager to speed things up, said, what if I work twice as hard and practice day and night? And the master replied, it'll take 20 years. The confused student asked, why? Why would it take longer if I work harder? The master explained, if you have one eye fixed on the goal, you only have one eye fixed on the path. Just the last line? Yeah. The confused student asked, why would it take longer? The master explained, if you have one eye fixed on the goal, then you only have one eye left to find the path. Maybe this talk is actually about faith. It's not a word that we use a lot in Buddhism. But if you don't have faith in the path that you're following, faith in humanity as a whole, then you would be like, I don't have time to waste. I got to go find something. I got to go find the right way. I got to find new answers. And run around and try to find the answers. If you don't have a little bit of faith that the path is going to work, then how are you going to endure all the atrocities of the world? You're going to constantly be looking for something better. I see a problem with that. The Buddha described it as the first noble truth. No matter how good or bad life is, we always have a nagging desire for it to be better. To me, this is the path that works. I have faith that if I cultivate the 6 perfections, I will become more like the type of person that can help other people, that can be a bodhisattva. That could potentially save all beings. Even though I often feel like I don't make any difference at all, it seems like I can make some difference. Through diligence, virya, and the practice of meditative concentration, dhyana, I will develop more wisdom, prajna, that will help me understand the right moral discipline, ethics, shila, so I can practice more generosity, dana. As long as I have the patience, kshanti, stick with it. Those are the 6 perfections. Today, we have to let go of all the bad shit this world has put on us. It keeps piling up. And we're also a cog in that wheel. We're adding to that shit every day. We have to let go of that stuff. It's very tough. It's not easy to do. And honestly, to me, it feels like every day it gets tougher. But you can do it. We can do it. Just think of it like a little housekeeping. Start in one room, one place in your mind, wipe off a little bit of dust. Then a little bit more, then a little bit more. I've got another story for you. You want to hear it? Okay. I think this one came from Facebook too. It's probably from somewhere else, but that's where I searched. That's where I found it. The Zen Master, the Building, and the Lost Tasks. A student came to a Zen master and said, "Master, I want to learn and become great." The master handed him some sand and said, "Build a beautiful building." The student worked with full effort. He shaped the walls, the windows, the doors. It took time, focus, and love. When he finished, the master said, "Now break it." The student was shocked. The master, "But master, I worked so hard. Why would I destroy something so beautiful?" The master said, "Break it." The student broke it. The master smiled and said, "Now build it again." So the student built it again, and this time it was better. Better balance, better design, better details. When it was finished, the master said again, "Now break it." This time the student became angry. "Why should I build something again and again and again if you will always ask me to break it? What's the point?" The master replied gently. "When you build something for the first time, you think it's the best thing in the world. You attach your ego to the result of it. When I make you break it, your ego breaks. Your skills grow. A true learner loves the process, not the final result. Only the one who builds again and again becomes a master."